Hey Bible lovers, I'm Tim Nichols and I'm here to bring you a Nichols Worth, and today we're going to talk about Bible Terms 201. People seem to enjoy my 101 videos, so we're going to take on some other questions that you may have regarding terms that are used for Bibles. So let's take a look at a couple of things here. First of all, when we talk about head and tail bands, what in the world is a headband and what is a tail band? Does it matter to the structural integrity of the Bible? Well, the answer is no. A head and a tail band are simply decorative. But if you want to look at a head and a tail band in its raw form, check out this image right at the top of the screen here. That's how they look. They serve to kind of hold the ribbons in place, and they're kind of decorative to make your Bible or your text block look a little more decorative. So let's check this one out. Sometimes they will have them in like a red and a gold, and it kind of matches your ribbons. It just kind of pulls in the colors. So the headband goes at the top, and then the tail band goes at the bottom. So they are not all the way across. They're only about this long. Again, reference that picture. Here's another one that is kind of a black and a gold. And it just kind of gives your book block that decorative edge. Now let's talk about ribbons for a second. If you know anything about me, you know that I love ribbons. Ribbons are important to me. There are two types that are generally put on Bibles. They're double-sided satin and they're single-sided satin. Now these are generally a polyester. They're not actually silk. Sometimes you can buy super expensive silk ribbons, but generally in a Bible, they're going to be polyester. So these are double-sided satin. And the way you can tell is they're shiny and finished on both sides. Now it's going to be hard to tell on a camera, but this is a single-sided satin ribbon. You can see this is flat. There's no real sheen to it, but when you flip it over, nice and shiny on that other side. So that's how you can tell if it's a double-sided satin ribbon. Another little thing that you might want to know about a Bible is something called gauffered edges. Now gauffered edges is an interesting thing because back in the 1500s, what they would do is they would take this roll and they would just kind of roll a pattern on the end of the Bible, and sometimes that roll would actually have weight to it to where it would indent it. Here's an example of that right here. But today what we do more modernly is we just print on gold foil, and it just gives your Bible kind of that decorative edge. There's several different types and several different designs. Here's another example of a nice little design of gauffered edges. So these aren't truly gauffered edges, these are more a modernized version, but it does make your Bible look really nice. Another thing that you may not know about is indexes. Now, these are called thumb indexes. Don't confuse these with thumb tabs that you install yourself. These are pre-cut out. What they do is they use like a half hole punch, and they just punch out these index spaces here on your Bible. That way you can tell where it is. My favorite form of indexes are the ones that only have 3 books at a time, like this one. You can see they just serve to be really helpful. For example, when you see an index right here, you see that one says Judges. So when you flip it, it's going to take you to the beginning of Judges. It's really nice when there's only 3 of them, because when there's 4, like for example this one, they don't seem to be as helpful, because you go to Deuteronomy, helps you get to the front of a section, but then you've got to weed through 3 other books. So I think 2 and at the most 3 in order to make your indexes the most effective. Now let's talk about spine stamping, because this is really important as well. Spine stamping is when they stamp. It can be blind stamped. For example, here's an example of a blind stamped Bible. Okay, what they do is they stamp it in with a heat stamper, and it puts the words or the logo on the spine for you. That's pretty important in the process when they apply the gold foil. Here's the gold foil on this one, and this one is very lightly stamped, but sometimes, for example, like this one, there is no stamping in here. The gold foil is just printed on. That's very easy to rub off. Here's a great example of one that has been stamped really good and the gold foil applied, and what that does is it puts the gold foil below the surface so that when your hand rubs over it, it's not going to rub that gold foil stamping off. Also, one thing I talked about in the last video that I want to clarify just a little bit, and that is the perimeter gilding. This is also known by publishers as a gilt line. So just make sure that you understand that. A couple other things that you really want to take an important look at is corner work. When you look at the corner work, you want those pleats to be nice and even. See, this one has really small pleats. There are several different styles. They can iron down those pleats, but then what they can also do is use a tool to give you those nice pleated edges like this one, where you see those lines going all the way across it, nice and evenly spaced. So there's several more Bible terms, so we can just call this video 201. If there's any other things that you'd like me to talk about, let me know and I'll make a video on it. God bless you. Keep calm. Jesus' Son. This is your Nichols Worth.